business or errands to run in downtown Rehoboth, suggest you do so today because today is the last day for free parking before they turn the meters on.
We're starting to get to the busy season, and just in case you guys are wondering, because some towns do it at different times, CoastTV.com has a great article up with all the different days that parking meters get turned on and turned off all over the coast. So make sure you go check that out so you don't end up with one of those unfortunate tickets on your window.
It's the worst, and because no two towns like to do it the same way, it's a great resource to make sure that you're not getting one of those parking tickets. But we like to have fun here on Coast Life. We are your hosts. I'm Leah Rizzo.
And I'm Charlie Sokaitis.
And one of the things that we wanted to talk about, it's a little bit more of a serious but trending conversation because a lot of the weight loss medications are trending. Ozempic especially is one that you're hearing getting talked about a lot, whether it's in terms of celebrities or healthcare or whatever the context of the conversation. It's the name you're hearing.
Well, it's important to note that people say Ozempic like people say Band-Aid.
Right.
Very few people actually doing the weight loss things are on Ozempic. That's actually the diabetes side of the drug. But we're talking about GLP-1s, semaglutides. I'm actually on one of those right now. I've gone on and off it over the course of about a year. But it's interesting what they're finding. Talk a little bit about what's happening with people's faces.
Yes, one of the side effects of these weight loss medications that they're talking about is what they're labeling Ozempic mouth, because of course everything has to have a snazzy name for you.
Trendy,
like,
ooh,
look out. But they do say because sometimes there's rapid weight loss in the face, a lot of fat loss in the cheek area, you're getting deeper lines, especially smile lines, which are making some celebrities look a little bit older than they are. And then by the time the news trickles down to us, we peasants, we kind of get that same thing, same side effects. Another side effect that a doctor was talking about was that actually sometimes like invested meat eaters are actually turning away from and giving up meat because they're getting sort of a metallic taste from it. Have you experienced any of these?
So I haven't experienced the metallic food taste thing, but I can tell you this, you do when you're on it, or at least I do. It changes it kind of quiets down certain things. So if you maybe you just really like nachos or whatever, or that kind of gets quieted way down. So I can't speak to the taste part of it. My taste buds haven't changed at all, but my cravings have significantly waned when I've been on it compared to being off it.
Yeah.
Now going to the actual how it affects your face, there's a couple things at play there. Number one, when when you lose weight in general, that can happen. In fact, Will Shatner used to talk about this all the time. He actually liked to gain about 5 pounds a decade or something like that to keep his face looking full, even though he'd be a little bit more rotund in the belly. He thought that on TV it made him look a little bit better. The other thing I can tell you for sure though is when you're on one of these things, I've gone through a nutritionist, I've talked a lot about it with my nutritionist. They're really big on making sure that you are eating enough protein because your diet, your desire to eat is down, but you need to get protein because you will not only lose fat, you'll lose muscle. And that could also be contributing to what's going on in the face. And the other part is probably something that's as simple as once you start doing a thing, whether it's trying to lift weights to get bigger, trying to lose weight to get smaller, it's really easy to kind of want to take that a step too far.
Oh, sure.
And I think that could be a thing that's happening there too, where they're on it, they got to where they wanted to get at the beginning, and then they're like, but what if I go a few steps past this? I think that you do have to be careful about body dysmorphia in either direction with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think too with celebrities being sort of the face of these weight loss medications, if you will, is also a little bit dicey and unrealistic because they have just so much money to throw at anything that they don't like about themselves. So it's also possible that you've already got a filler situation and a filler dissolved situation at play on top of a weight loss medication, but they can also fix that in a couple $1,000s and a little bit of recovery time, whereas most of us might not be able to do that. So I feel like using them as maybe the goal for the beauty standard, not necessarily what you want. I think making sure you're in constant contact with a nutritionist, and I think, like you said, the protein thing, because I think even a lot of folks who maybe start exploring veganism,
it's tough to get those numbers up.
It's tough to get those numbers up.
Especially like I like to go to the gym. I like to work out a little bit. If you don't want to lose muscle when you're doing something like that, you have to hit a pretty high number on protein.
Yeah.
That's hard to do if you are not organized and planning and getting where you want to go. But going back to the fillers thing, I think that's interesting when you talk about some of the celebrities. I think it might almost be more pronounced, this Ozempic face thing.
I think so.
If you've had work done, then you lose fat on top of the work that you had done. So then that shows differently than maybe it had been intended to look when you didn't look that way.
I think so. I wonder how much that sort of I guess manufactured beauty standards play into how that affects the overall look of your face in combination with some of these weight loss drugs. It's an interesting conversation, and I think one that's good to have an honest conversation about. But
I will say this, anybody that is considering doing something like that, make sure you talk to a doctor, a nutritionist, somebody that knows what they're talking about, somebody that has all the information, the literature. Keep your head on a swivel there. Make sure you're getting everything from both sides so that you know what you're walking into. Also, some of these things can be expensive. Some of these charges are changing all the time. So keep in mind those components too. It's not just a solve for everybody immediately.
No, it's a multi-tiered, multi-angled, multi-professional conversation to probably have with some experts out there, not necessarily with us. But switching gears just a little bit.
Slightly less serious here.
A lot less serious here. When was the last time you washed your Crocs? Have you thought about how you wash them exactly? Apparently, there was a TikTok user who went viral for showing how he washed his Crocs, which was in a loaded dishwasher, and just ran it through the cycle. So with the dishes, with the forks, the knives, all that stuff. And people were saying, like, ew, no, not sanitary to throw it in with your food. Like, you don't know what's coming off your shoes and going on to your utensils. Even though the dishwasher's doing its thing, do we know how thoroughly it's doing its thing?
Okay, so a couple things here. Don't have any Crocs in my own house. We do have some here in the building, though. Paul Williams, big Croc guy.
Oh, he's a big
loves
Crocs
the comfort,
guy.
loves how they feel on his feet.
That's what everybody says about the Crocs.
As for the dishwasher thing, I don't know it's the choice I would make, but I also don't think it matters one way or another. Like, there's rotten food in there. Okay, like if you're trusting it to get rid of the rotten food, possibly like, decaying egg, things like that, it's probably going to be handling the funk on your foot on top of a plastic shoe. Like I actually don't think that there's a problem with that, but I do see why people are skeeved out by it a little.
I get it, and I think even you just saying rotting food in the dishwasher has me a little bit more grossed out now. But I'm with you in that I don't think it's necessarily the sanitation angle that I'm upset with. They do say that the guy who washed his Crocs in the dishwasher also, they shrank a little bit. So he's like, well, great, now they fit my feet a little bit better. But that is something that you need to consider. If
keep aware, it could be like a cotton shirt situation.
And I also think just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do something. Like I've seen recipes that are like, you can cook fish in the dishwasher, and I'm like, what, do I want to though?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that for sure. Let's just be very clear. There's no time that's going to be a thing that happens in my life. But I don't actually think it's a problem as long as it doesn't bother you. I mean, if it can get the sticky syrup off one of my plates, it can probably handle whatever's on the Croc.
Yeah,
I don't see it as an issue.
Asphalt darkness off your Crocs. For those considering the method, though, the folks from Crocs and their official website recommend hand washing or using a delicate washing machine cycle with mild detergent. Experts advise against using dishwashers, especially when other items are involved. I mean, I would feel more comfortable running it through a mostly empty dishwasher, but
you know what? I think it's fine
whatever
however you want to do it. If it's something that bothers you at all, it's not an issue because you're just not going to do it.
Whatever cleans your Crocs.
The only issue I could see is if like one person in the household was willing to do that and the other person was bothered by it. And in that case, maybe listen to the other person.
It's a whole different conversation that you're about to have on hand in that case. But we do have a show to get to. Let's see what's coming up today on Coast Life. We know our friends with Preston Automotive Group are always giving back to the community. They've got an event coming up this weekend that also helps out the fur babies in our community.
Plus, was there anything better when you were in school than a field trip? Well, at Historic Lewes, they are getting a lot of field trips this time of year. We're going to go talk to them and see what's going on over there.
Definitely something you don't want to miss. Also, it is the month of May. We haven't been to the Art League yet. We're going to see what's new with their galleries and a couple of field trips that they'll be taking. All that fun and more is coming up on Coast Life.
Coast Life is sponsored by BB Healthcare, Coastal Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning, Preston Automotive Group, Shell Brothers, and the Parker Group. Coast Life is sponsored by Preston Automotive Group.
Well, we're nowhere near the dog days of summer yet, but that doesn't mean it's not a good time to welcome a dog into your life and also maybe get yourself in a new vehicle. We've got Stephen Townsend joining us with Preston Automotive Group, and you're here from the Pittsville Ford Center, which you guys have lots of locations, lots of ways that people can get themselves in a new amazing car. But you guys also have an amazing event coming up because we know that our friends at Preston love to give back to the community.
Yep. So thank you for having us. It's one of those things where we're part of the Preston Automotive Group. One of our core values is community. So we like to be out there giving back. And allowing others to come in and see what we do on a regular basis. So we've got the Humane Society of Wicomico County coming in. They're going to bring some of our furry four-legged friends with them.
Always fun, always good.
Always a good time. So we've got a little bit of that. So if you're interested, you're looking to add to the family, and maybe you just want to bring your dog out and have a little bit of fun. Multiple options. Look at some vehicles while you're there. You know, we got plenty of choices.
Absolutely. And this is going to be a family-friendly event. You guys have some stuff to draw in the little guys so they can have some fun while maybe you're doing a little car shopping.
Yeah, so we've got cone ice coming out. So we're gonna have a who doesn't love a good snow cone on a warm summer day?
So we got snow cones, we got dogs. We're doing great.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's not much more you really need. So we've also got a food truck coming out as well. So you know, it's a family-friendly event, like you said. You could turn it into a full day thing. We'll be there from 11 to 2. Come out, get some lunch. Come out, and get a snow cone. Bring your dog. Maybe there's a new dog or cat there that interests you. We're also gonna have a bounce house for the kids.
There you go.
That's great. Now, if while there, mom and dad start to peruse around and see something they like, what do they need to know about what's going on in the car world right now, specifically with you guys? You know, what might entice them in?
So we're, like I said earlier, Pittsville Ford, part of the Preston Automotive Group. Right now we're doing it's basically the goal this month is 1,500 across the 16 rooftops. So anybody that's interested, new, used, if I don't have it, I can get it. You know, anything you want to drive, come on out. I mean, we'd love to show you anything that we've got on the lot. And like I say, though, if we don't have it and we're looking around, you know, you want something that's a different color, we'll get it. We'll make it happen.
Nice to know that people have options.
Yeah. Yep.
If you have a firm idea about what you want, you guys can make that.
Yeah, that's it. Come out and test drive some things, see what you like. I mean, you know, that's the biggest thing is it's like buying a house, buying a car, buying anything. You've got to try some stuff before you buy.
You want to make sure you love it before you spend some money on something that's going to be a pretty big life purchase. But I also know that 1,500 cars, what is that goal for? Why are you guys doing this?
So it's actually to support ALS.
Yeah.
We've got, I believe it's 1 or 2 associates that are in the group that actually are affected by ALS.
Wow.
So we're doing it as a group. We're going to do some ice bucket challenge stuff. I know the Preston Automotive Group is actually going out and they're donating money to different businesses for people to come out and eat and get free drinks and things like that as well. So it's a huge event for us. 1,500. It goes towards a good cause. So just like the Humane Society event, I mean, it's all towards a good cause, all towards the community. It's all about us giving back.
Yeah.
And it must feel good to make a difference on the community you live in. I mean, we're all part of it. This is all where we live out here on Delmarva. So, you know, just being a part of it in a way that has a positive impact.
Yeah, it's all, we're all local, all the Eastern Shore, you know what I mean, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia. That's not to say that that's the only place that we sell. We sell all over the place. But it's nice to be out and in the community and just showing that we care. We want to give back.
Yeah, I also understand that with that Humane Society event, each vehicle that is purchased, you guys are also donating a bag of dog food or pet food?
Yes. Correct.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
So the giving
again,
just
I
keeps
mean,
on
it just same thing. I mean, it's going to be an amazing day, and it's one of those things where we just want to, you know, we just want people to come in, enjoy themselves. We're gonna donate to a ton of good causes because that's what we do at the Preston Automotive Group.
No, it's true.
So can you run us through so everybody at home has it one more time? What is this? When is this event? What is it? How can, you know, times, dates? What do they need to know?
Sure. So it's this coming Saturday. It'll be at Pittsville Ford, 7155 Friendship Road, and it'll be from 11 to 2. I'm sure there'll be people there hanging out all day long. Obviously, we're going to be there 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then, you know, the fun doesn't have to end at 2. So if the food truck's still there, snow cone's still there, bouncy house is still there, we're going to hang out and have some fun.
Awesome. It doesn't get better than that. So we got your weekend plans taken care of. Stephen, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys at Preston Automotive Group for what you guys do for the community and also keeping us on the road.
Yep.
We do have some more coastline to get to, though. More fun that you're not going to miss when we get back.
We're always looking for great reasons to get outside, to go enjoy different things along the coast. And so today we've brought in David Shook. He's the president of the Lightship Overfalls Foundation. And Shook, you got a big event coming up. It is the Lewes Maritime Day. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Congress made National Maritime Day May 22nd in the 30s, but we have such a strong maritime history in Lewes that we decided we should have our own Lewes Maritime Day in addition to that. So that is this Saturday, May 17th.
Awesome.
So
now you have your own history that took you to this point. How did you end up involved with this organization? Why was it a good fit for you?
Well, you know, I was in the Coast Guard myself in 1970, and it's a great fit because the people that are there are just so engaging and compelling. Our Dirty Hands gang, the people that work all day and night, the ones that do the tours and work in the shop and keep that ship shining and getting it ready. I just love to be around the atmosphere.
Yeah, the lightship itself is really, really cool. I had an opportunity to go take a tour of it last year, so people are going to have a chance to tour the lightship itself at Maritime Day, correct?
For free,
Hey.
yes.
It's always the right number right there.
A couple of other free activities, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it starts at 11. It goes from 11 to 3 this Saturday. From 11 to 12, we'll have a ceremony dedicated to our Overfalls members that have gone over the rail. After that, we'll do an induction into the Delaware Maritime Hall of Fame. So I'm excited about that. We have two great individuals, one who's passed a war hero, and our own Heath Gerke, who's the director of ferry operations, who's these people have contributed significantly to the maritime history of our area. So it's just natural that we have this at the ship and that we honor them. And then around 12 o'clock, we shift into celebration mode. So we have shanty bands coming from Historic Lewes. The Sussex Tavern Shanty Singers will be coming down. They'll be on the ship singing, "What do you do with a drunken?" It's just good stuff. And there's so many vendors this year. And we have a food truck, and Dogfish Head has provided some beverages. And the Freedom Boat Club will take people on free boat rides.
Nice.
So yeah, it sounds great. And one of the most favorite things that I love, the ferry folks, Heath will have someone explode a life raft from the ferry.
Ooh,
so
wow.
so when you think life raft, you think, life raft. Well, this holds 150 people. So when this explodes and opens up on Canal Front Park, it really is impressive. So we have so many great things and activities for kids, and we're looking forward to it. It's a great day. It's a great day to honor our heritage and our maritime history.
Well, it sounds like a great family affair
Yeah.
if you want it to be. You can bring out the kids, or if it's just you and the wife or whatever, you can have fun. But it's not the only thing you guys have coming on. We have a number of different events coming out throughout the summer. How do you guys sort of determine what it is that you want to do during the year? How do you determine how to get people out there?
Well, we try to always have it maritime and nautical. So the first one we're having is fishing kids. So we encourage kids to come down. We have fishing poles for them. We're going to teach them how to fish in the canal.
Nice.
And to get them accustomed, they have a casting contest for accuracy. And then in July, we have sail away day, where we'll have a bunch of sailboats come down, larger sailboats that sail in the regattas here in the Delaware Bay, and the kids get to go on there. And Lewes Yacht Club is going to bring down some of their counselors from camp and a small boat, just to try to introduce kids to sailing and get them to think about being on the water. And then our last event is Why Not, and that's where we give them a 3-foot piece of rope and we teach them how to tie different kinds of knots and take them on the ship and show them how those knots are used, just to try to get kids interested in it. So yeah, we're real excited about it.
Fantastic. A lot going on. So give us the details one more time for Maritime Day for those who are ready and excited to show up.
Saturday, 11 to 3, and the ceremony is not too boring. It'll be fun, and it brings about a certain way of thinking about maritime, because people perish and our sea is part of what keeps us alive here. So we try to keep that up front and most important, but then at noon the celebration starts. So it's going to be fun. There's a lot of vendors, a lot of demonstrations, and it is a great family day.
Fantastic. Well, sounds like we got some more weekend plans covered for you. Shook, thank you so much for coming in today and getting us excited for Maritime Day.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you out there.
Oh, we'll be.
Of course. Okay. We've got some more Coast Life to get to, though, that you don't want to miss, so stay right there.
We're always excited when we get to bring somebody from the news side of Coast TV onto the couch, and today we've got Matt Pencek, our morning anchor.
Yes.
But more importantly for this specific story, I don't know how many people at home know this, Matt is a huge history guy, and you've got a great story coming out tonight at 6.
That's why you guys get along.
We have some
Sports and history.
Sports and history, commonalities.
Sports news history.
But you've got a great story to tell that's coming out at 6 tonight. Involves World War II, involves us here along the coast. What is it?
Yeah, sort of our connection to World War II. 80 years ago today, May 14th, a German sub surrendered to Allied forces about 20 miles off the coast of Lewes, and they brought the sub, they towed it back to where Cape Henlopen State Park is now. They tied it up to what is now the fishing pier at Cape Henlopen State Park. So the German sub surrendered off our coast, and they brought the crew back here where they were sent to a prisoner of war camp in America.
And, you know, a lot of people that are history buffs might know that the Germans were that close, but I think a lot of people also don't know that there were, you know, German subs just off our coast.
Yep.
Yeah, there's several of them. And the Fort Miles has a great history of all of that, not just this particular sub, which was 80 years ago today, but there were several other sub incidents off the coast. There was one that laid mines and that blew up a ship that was off the coast over Rehoboth Beach. It apparently made it was a big boom. It had an impact on the area. But again, this one was 80 years ago today. 6 subs were sent out at the end of World War II by the Germans, and they were their goal was to wreak havoc. American shipping, Delaware Bay, key entrance to Philadelphia. But 4 of those subs were sunk before even they got to this far to the North American coast.
Well, what made you interested in this story? What kind of drew your attention to it?
I always like anniversary dates in history, and this one, I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been a trip to Fort Miles, but it registered in my mind, 1945 in May. So I was like, I kind of tucked that one in the back of my mind until we got closer to this date, you know, along the way doing research on it. But yeah, that's sort of where I came in, you know, just taking that deeper dive into it.
And what's sort of the process when you're building a history story? What are the things you're looking for? You know, this is 80 years ago. Not a lot of people to interview that were around for this. So how do you put this together?
Well, fortunately, Fort Miles has they're a great resource. There's a lot of great people that work there that know their history, and that's where I went to. Also, Delaware Archives has got a great source of footage, and that's where I stumbled upon. There's footage of this surrender. That's what you'll see in this piece, is the footage from the actual surrender 80 years ago. And the fact that we had this, I'm like, I think I can do something with this. That we had it's 11, 12 minutes of actual footage of this, you know, the out at sea, then the crew surrendering and then being turned over to the Allied forces.
Interesting. We had a little anecdote in my family that my grandfather, who was stationed right there in Cape Henlopen, saw through the towers. He swore he saw a German sub or ship. And my grandmother kept telling him, no, you didn't. And he was like, no, I did.
I swear I did.
She was like, no, you didn't. And he was like, yes, I did. But neither of them are around anymore. But that was a fun anecdote for us. So we were like, well, I guess he did.
You know, but if you've been along our beach, that's what those towers were for. All those towers in Dewey Beach, and then they have those similar towers in Cape May because they work together. There was facilities at Cape May and Fort Miles. They were trying to prevent those ships or those subs from getting into the Delaware Bay and wreaking havoc on Philadelphia.
Yeah, you can still see the vestiges of that time. I think it's interesting too because when you think about our coastline, the history here, we're so ready to go all the way back to the first state, the first town. But history keeps happening all the way through, and we've been through a lot on the coast.
And it's a key area too. That's why they built Fort Miles, was for that. They put these big guns in there. The one thing, they never had to fire those guns. I don't doubt that your grandfather saw.
Because
because there was a lot of sub activity out there.
So what do people need to know if they're going to watch this story tonight? Which show is it in, and where can they find it after the fact?
Right, CoastTV News at 6, so it's our 6 o'clock broadcast. We already have an article up on the website going a little bit more in detail, and then once it runs on the news tonight, we will also post that so you can watch it whenever you want to watch it.
Well, to our audience out there, I want to just let you guys know, anytime that Matt is on one of these history stories, you really want to pay attention. He does an expert job with it, and he always gets a little bit of help from our photog, Ted Corriero. He also really makes those stories sing. You're going to want to tune in. Matt, we appreciate you joining us on the couch.
All right, well, thanks for having me back.
Of course, anytime. Coming up on Coast Life, though, we're taking a trip to Ocean City to check out what's new with the Art League.
This segment of Coast Life is sponsored by Art League of Ocean City.
Well, May is here, and that means we got to make our monthly trip to the Art League of Ocean City on 94th Street. And we are here with Megan Burak-Lowe. And as you can see, so many gorgeous pops of color and so many gorgeous flowers on the Thaler exhibit. So Megan, what are we looking at today and for the month of May here at the Art League?
Yeah, so we have Jill Kohut here in our featured gallery. These are beautiful, large-scale flowers in bloom, plants, very spring-like, getting you into that spring mood here. So we're really excited to have her here. She is a teacher. She has taught throughout all the years, so she is just fantastic. And then upstairs we have a group show. It's called Number 5. It's a little bit different this month. So the artwork had to either have, 5 things in it or maybe 5 senses, something like that. So it's really interesting.
Some incorporation of the number 5.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. But you guys are always up to more than just showcasing art. You guys have plenty of events coming up for artists as well. Tell us what's coming down the line.
We've got a bus trip coming up in the next couple weeks. We're going to the Barnes Foundation. There's a really cool exhibit there. We have our originals only coming up. It is all no covers allowed. It's all original, either poetry, music, spoken word, anything like that. It's free, so definitely check that out. And then our free summer kids crafts are also coming back up May through September. Every Saturday, you can bring the kiddos down here. We have a free craft outside, so that's really fun. And then actually later on in the year, we're actually going to have a color run this year, which is really exciting. Tickets are already on sale for that.
Nice.
But that's going to be over in Ocean Pines at the Veteran Memorial Park. So more info is on our website about that.
Fantastic. I know we've got a lot of runners here in the area.
Everybody's really excited
love
about
a good
that.
theme and they love a good race. So it's going to be lots of fun in that area. So for folks who also are interested in maybe joining the Art League of Ocean City, not just coming in and seeing all the gorgeous art, but maybe it's time to dust off the paint brushes and fall back in love with art. You guys really have so many options for them too. Classes for adults, classes for kids.
Yes.
How does somebody who's interested in joining do that?
So they can come on down. We are open year-round, 7 days a week. So stop by. You can also go to our website. We also have an app you can download as well. And we would just love to have everybody in here. We change out everything every month, so it's something for everybody.
I also know that Clayapalooza is coming up.
Yes.
Folks that are good with their hands.
Yes. June is Clayapalooza month, so the Clay Guild of the Eastern Shore is kind of taken over here. They're going to have like demos and workshops. Pottery is going to be filling this gallery here, so it's going to be really fun.
Fantastic. Well, for anybody who needs any more information on upcoming showcases, upcoming events, kids camps, adult classes, where can they go?
Go to ocart.org, or like I said, come on down and talk with us. We love to see you, and download our app as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll give you a minute to do that. Megan, as always, it's so much fun coming here and seeing what's new at the Art League of Ocean City.
Happy to have you.
Of course. We've got more Coast Life, more fun to get to. That's coming your way when we get back.
A lot of our Coast Life fans probably don't know this, but the month of May is actually field trip time here in Lewes. And we are at Historic Lewes, one of the best places to learn about the past. And we are here with Marcos Salaverria with Historic Lewes. And where are we sitting right now? We've got this nice replica couch to be on, but where are we at the moment?
We are inside the Burton Ingram House at 110 Ship Carpenter Street, our historic campus. and specifically the exhibit that we are within on this beautiful replica, as many visitors are, is known as the Neal House exhibit, From Revolution to Republic.
Now, we were talking before I walked in here about how it's field trip month around these parts here in Lewes. More than 2,000 kids last year went on field trips around this time. That number is expected to be even higher this year?
It is. We're already at 1,000 this year. We're expecting throughout the summer to double those numbers by the end of the fall, but we're still encouraging, come on by. This is one of the only places where you can literally have your hands on history right here in Lewes. This is one of the programs when we speak of hands-on history. These are actual shard pieces, artifacts that were discovered here in Lewes dating to about 1820. And what is very fascinating about it is we actually do have a surviving piece, a maker's mark, which shows you the lion and the unicorn of England pressed in as a seal into the back section. What students often try and do on field trips is put this plate back together. What is difficult to know is that this plate here is a replica of the original pieces. We often identify the animals around the edges, different things that the students see. The difficulty, though, of the students and better understanding history, it can't always be pieced back together completely, because with two pieces that we have here of this surviving plate, you have spode number 2 on the left, spode number 2 on the right, which means you have the remnants of many, many plates that have broken apart and been lost through time.
So they're not all a perfect one-to-one puzzle match. They're not all going to go together.
Correct. And the students, when they put that together and they realize, it's definitely a great moment.
So for the folks that do decide to make this trip, what are they getting out of it other than maybe not having to be in class for a day?
You're getting to actually experience the historic places. This is known as a Sussex County scooter made from cedar shake shingles, meaning that this home was actually picked up and moved by the Historical Society back in the 1960s. It would have been a neighbor to the famed Cannonball House, which I know this station has wonderfully covered in the past.
We have covered that just a bit, yes. So when groups of kids come through, what is it you're hoping that they get out of it? What do you want to impart from a knowledge standpoint so that they understand how significant the history is here?
It's asking questions, it's learning, it's seeing a new perspective of history. Within this home itself, we do have to recognize the beautiful replica furniture, the window dressings, the pieces that are about, that this was the home of the wealthy. But we also have to recognize that in a time of the past, this is in a maritime town. All of these items would have been transported here, and indeed they would have been paid for, quite oftentimes based upon the labor, the enslaved labor of others who occupied a very different life in the house than in where we currently sit.
So really making sure people understand not just what the best of things looked like, what life was like for everybody at the time period we're talking about.
Exactly.
So what are some of the exhibits you like to walk kids through? What are some of the things you want them to see when they get to come out and hang out in this area?
Mm-hmm. So absolutely, we have 9 historic buildings on our campus. Quite oftentimes, students will see our Midway Schoolhouse from 1898. They will visit our replica coffee house from the time of the Revolution. They will certainly, and yes, children were allowed in the tavern in the past. It's not like it is today. They didn't
have a 21-year-old age limit then?
No, not quite the same. Discouraged, though, loud voices. But and as well, this home, to be able to see the differences not only in social strata, but the difference in evolution. Lewes is since 1631, and even prehistoric times, the settlements of the natives and indigenous individuals here, that life has evolved over time in Lewes, and life is still evolving. Our connections to our community, to our neighbors, they're alive and thriving in the first town, in the first state.
So I got a couple questions here for you. For any schools that maybe want to get involved, how would they go about setting something up?
It's an excellent question. Through our website, www.historiclewes.org, there is my contact as the Director of Education and Tours. I encourage folks to reach out, see our tour times available. Even if you're not coming with a field trip, bring mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, bring the family. Exactly. And it's all through our website, historiclewes.org.
Now, after the break here, we're going to get a look at one of the exhibits that you want to show us. But before we do that, what drew you to this? Have you always been a history buff? What landed you in this scene?
I'm always seeking in education what are called transformative moments. And those are the moments where history got its hooks in you. I was very lucky. My grandfather was a World War II veteran, Pearl Harbor survivor. He took me when I was 8 years old to meet General Washington in Mount Vernon. And my grandfather was 6'3". The interpreter at the time was 6'3". So as an 8-year-old kid, it was, "Hi, pleased to meet you." And that has just always stayed with me.
Well, we love that. Always a big fan of history here on Coast Life. We're going to take a break, but don't go anywhere because we do have something we want to show you that's very special right here. A little bit about one of the exhibits. There's more Coast Life coming up. Coast Life, we are still talking history. We are with Historic Lewes. We've got Marcos Salaverria with us, and we're upstairs now in this same building. Where are we? What is the historic significance of the room we're in right now?
So we are now in what's known as the enslaved person's garret, or a room above stairs. The Neal family, who this exhibit is based on, did enslave several individuals up until just before the turn of 1800. And this space, obviously, from where we just were, much smaller, much more cramped. You can see the utilitarian work, the laundry that's hanging behind us, the storage barrels and crates, the sugar that is here, showing again that in a maritime town, trade came in internationally. But for the Neal family and for many others, it came upon the backs of the labor of many individuals for life. And indeed, within this room, whenever we can put a name to someone in the past, that's our efforts. You asked me earlier, we want students to remember that people were people in the past. They lived differently, but they felt and experienced the same things. 3 women who were here, we know, would have been Alice, a mother, and her two young daughters. Alice the younger and Nance would have lived in a room of this size.
And if you look around, it's not very big. You look at the beds, they're basically a little more than like a mat on the floor, so you're not dealing with a lot of creature comforts in what must have been a crowded space for these 3 people.
Absolutely, and certainly when crowded, when working against one's will, there's always trying to be a bit of hope. And we do know the story of Alice and her daughters, that they were emancipated, they were set free. But they were set free in a period of time when another Delaware story, and I always encourage students to read more, to read the words of people of the past. A gentleman by the name of Solomon Bailey was one of the earliest individuals known as a freedom seeker along what would later be called the Underground Railroad.
So we've got tremendous historic connection in Lewes anyway. I mean, it's the first town in the first state, we know that. But things like this really put into perspective the reality of what people of that time period were living in. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to walk by a building or two. I think it adds a whole different layer, especially for young people that may not know the backstory, to get to be in these buildings and see firsthand what it might have felt like. Try to imagine what 3 people living in this small room might have been like at that time.
Absolutely. And it really is, again, using the replicas that we have, that students can put their hands on history. They can understand a physical connection, that this is not just a plate, this is not just a trunk, this is not just shipping. These are things that once existed and we've recreated to show them what it would have been like in one small way.
Well, I think it's a great way to teach some of the lessons of history, to teach the reality of history. And if folks do want to come out, I know we talked about it in the first block. Again, how do they contact you? How would they get involved in case they want to bring a class, a family, if they just want to go by themselves?
Historiclewes.org, our website, and we have a tours section, and we also have within that a section for field trips and for group tours. So whether you are young or young at heart, there is something for you to learn here in the first town, in the first state.
And I think that last part is really important. There is something for you to learn. Even if you are steeped in history, you're going to find out something new when you come down to this site here in Historic Lewes. So make sure, if you're interested at all, if you got any questions about this kind of thing, come check it out. It is really a great opportunity and something that's not available to everybody everywhere. We've got more Coast Life coming up after the break.
Well, as always, Coast Life, we hope you have a good time hanging out with us here on the couch. Charlie's downstairs getting ready for CoastTV News at 5, which is up next. Don't forget, today is your last day without the parking meters in downtown Rehoboth. But for more details about which cities have which days for what parking permits, you can always go to coasttvnews.com, a great resource for you to help you not get a pesky ticket this summer. So we'll give you a minute to do that. And as for now, that's going to do it for us. So we're turning things over to CoastTV News at 5. Like we said, that is up next. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow back here on the couch for some more Coast Life fun.